Alright, this one I think I'm actually going to upload even though I've made a couple others. But basically, I'm going to talk about my mental health and what I am currently going through, and I will probably go through the rest of my life. Okay, I am a dual diagnosis. I have anxiety and depression and OCD. And not like cleaning OCD. This is completely different than that, actually. Mine's like intrusive thoughts that I don't want. Thoughts about harming others, things like that, which sounds crazy to people who know me because I don't even kill bugs. So, yeah. But basically, the short version of my mental health issues started at 13. I was with friends and I sounds silly, but I huffed gasoline to get high. And I freaked out and I thought I couldn't breathe. Go to the hospital, I'm fine. I'm told I got panic attacks. And I was always a very nervous kid. Thanks, Grandma. Mental health wasn't a big deal back then. It wasn't something, it was just me being me and, not that big of a deal. I knew all through my youth that I had anxiety. I mean, I would have anxiety about the dumbest things. But when I was about 19, I started drinking. Damn cats. And that helped me feel normal for the amount of time I was doing it. I don't really remember if I was on meds then, because it's been like off and on my whole life. But yeah. Fast forward to 2013. I'm pregnant with my oldest. I think I was like halfway through my pregnancy, if not more. And my dad, who I didn't grow up with, murdered my stepmom. Now, I didn't grow up with him, so you wouldn't think it'd be like a huge deal, but my brain thought otherwise, and I told myself that if he could do it, I could do it. I was capable of it. It was in my DNA. And so that day, I remember hiding every single knife in the house. And this is something that I will do even later on in life. So I hid every knife in the house. And I kind of just left it at that. Alright, well, fast forward to a couple years later, I have my second daughter. Me and my husband at the time, we'll call him Saint Christopher because he is a fucking saint. We're living in Cleveland. I call him in a panic because I think I'm going to hurt my kids. This is a thought that probably the worst thought I've ever had in my life. But it happened. And at that time, I've never heard of harm OCD. I never really even I've never looked into OCD. I just saw like the stupid things people would say, I'm cleaning, I'm OCD. Which, like, stop doing that. But I ended up calling him and pretty much stating that I was going to hurt the girls. He needed to come home. Of course, he laughed it off because he knew better. He knew that wouldn't happen. He knew I wasn't capable of that. So we ended up kind of going through a rough spot, me and him. I moved back home. We got divorced, yada yada. So after having those thoughts, those thoughts came back to me. They did leave, but they came back to me in about 2014, and it got so bad and so scary. I basically went to my therapist at the time and just was on my knees crying, asking for help. So at that time, I was dating this gentleman named Dan, and he was and still is just fucking amazing. He was so gentle at that time, and he was nice enough to prepare me to go into the hospital, into the psych ward. Took me there. We went and got Frickers actually before because I knew I wouldn't be eating normal food for a while. And I got there, and let me just say that those places are not made for like people who have what I have or anything like I have, because that was probably the worst thing that could have been done for my anxiety. That place was terrifying. Well, they booted me out after like 2 days because obviously I didn't really need to be there. Um, but that was where I actually got my diagnosis of harm OCD from one of the doctors there. Um, so yeah, I have been struggling with that ever since. It's impacted every single moment of my life, every single moment. Like I could be so successful right now. I mean, I do photography as a hobby, and I'm not dumb. I look at things and I compare things, and I know that I am fucking good at it, and I know that I'm better than people who have been doing it for years. I have a talent. You know, I see things other people don't see, or very few people see. And honestly, my anxiety and my depression and my OCD has stopped me from really pursuing anything about that. I have these fantasies where I am traveling the world and taking pictures of things, and none of that can happen because my OCD and my anxiety and my depression won't let it, basically. And also, I won't let it. That's me being weak. Like, I just have to do it. I can't think about it. But I am. We'll fast forward through that part too. To I was in a relationship like a year ago with somebody. Nice dude. Didn't understand mental illness at all. I got called crazy more times than I could ever count. I would be in bed depressed, and he would just assume I was lazy, and that wasn't laziness. That was me just basically trying to stay alive. And then when I wasn't in bed, I would go out drinking and like do stupid shit, and not come home till 3 in the morning. Like, there's no excuse for that. Um, just, and that's when that relationship ended for the second time. That's when I kind of like went on this journey by myself. I've briefly dated since that, but I haven't been in a relationship because I just, well, first of all, I don't want anything like that again. But second of all, I just need to kind of, navigate all this by myself. Um, so currently, I'm experiencing some withdrawal on a medicine, and that medicine had made me super sick. Felt like a crackhead. And now I am back on that medicine so I can at least make it to work. Um, yeah. I I'm going to a new psychiatrist because, right now I'm at a local place around here that took Medicaid or people with low income. So it was something that I can afford, which I'm super glad that those kind of places exist, because at one time that was my only option. Now I have, decent insurance, and I can pick my doctor out, basically. So I'm going to a new one, to kind of see what they think, feel them out, maybe try a new classification of meds, because SSRIs haven't been super successful for me. I would also like to get to a point where I don't need meds. I mean, honestly, I do believe in like meditation and yoga and eating healthy and treating your body right are super important, and I would probably be farther along if I had done that before. Unfortunately, when you're in that slump, you don't even think about your body. You don't think about things like that. You're more worried about staying alive, and which is weird because being alive at that point is so fucking terrible. But you want to stay alive during that point, and that's where I was, like, especially when I was in my previous relationship, my last one. I just like I woke up on days and I would just be like, I would be better off dead. And yeah, I had that thought a lot. Um, More often than not, actually. And like outside, like, I'm a very funny, outgoing person, and people probably wouldn't think that I suffer with this stuff. I know when I've had one job in particular for 3 years almost now, just part-time bartending, but I remember telling my boss there one night while we were out together what I was going through, and he was astonished because like he said, he never would have guessed by my outwardly self that I give people, you know. And yeah, it's surprising. Giddy. It's just, I kind of just want to share like my journey with people because you're not fucking alone. Because I feel fucking alone often, a lot, you know. Especially because I don't have like a romantic partner. I don't have somebody to lean on, which like I've always been in like relationships, so I've always had somebody to lean on. Even if that somebody wasn't a good person to lean on, it was somebody. Um, but you're not fucking alone. It's hard. It's hard to be a single mom and try to make it to work every day. Sometimes, you know, sometimes my life was nonstop work, and other times like I didn't fucking make it to work. And I think it's especially hard for a single mom because not only are we trying to make ends fucking meet constantly, but we're also trying to heal ourselves. And both of those things are, you know, it feels like the world's on your shoulders often. But I will upload another video in like a week or so and let everybody know like how it's going and how I'm feeling. Not that anybody cares. This is just basically for anybody that is going through this and feels, you know, alone. Anyway, have a good day.